New 72 Radio, the voice, views, and visions of the collective.
My name is Mary Berger, and I am with ComputerDiva, and welcome to tonight's episode of Diva Talk, where we broadcast every other Thursday night live on Facebook. We also record it and we post it on YouTube a couple of days after the live broadcast, so you don't have to miss any of my broadcasts. So I want to start out the evening by saying that, you know, my heart is with all of the people affected by the hurricane in Houston, Hurricane Harvey. And if you have the means to donate to the cause, the Red Cross is a great place to donate. And I know there was a huge truck of non-perishable food items that was packed in Portland today, and we'll be heading to the Houston area over the weekend. So my heart is with all those people who have been left homeless and who have lost their loved ones. So I'm thinking about them. So let's start with, well, I don't want to start with news yet. First, I want to start by saying that Diva Talk is produced by New 72 Media, and Kelly Lair is the brains behind the entire radio show. She manages everything on the other end, and she produces it, and thank you very much, Kelly. So just wanted to get that in there before I get started on the news. So technology news. So there's a lot going on in the technology world right now. Apple has announced that they will be having a live session on September 12th, and they will be announcing the new iPhone 8. There's also speculation about an iPhone 7S. We don't know. But anyway, iPhone 8, and of course we don't know what's included in that. They always keep things very secret, but the rumor mills have already been churning. They've been churning for months. The iPhone 8 is supposed to have a very significant redesign. It will have an OLED display, which stands for Organic Light Emitting Diode, which is kind of technical speak for it's a really, really good display. It's going to have wireless charging capabilities. It will have 3D facial recognition, which I'm assuming will play in tandem with the fingerprint security feature. But it's also going to be very expensive. Rumor has it that it will be running about $999. So they'll be announcing that. They should be announcing a new Apple Watch. It will be the Apple Watch version 3, which will include an LTE chip, which is a big deal because in the very first two versions of the Apple Watch, which I've got here, it doesn't have any sort of LTE chip in it, and you are dependent upon having your iPhone nearby when you want to use a lot of the features. If you want to send a text message, if you want to stream music, if, you know, in my case, if I want to use my golf GPS app, I can flip the screen on my iPhone and see the yardage from the point where my iPhone is to the hole in the green, but it's the point of my iPhone, so I have to have my iPhone in my pocket while I'm golfing. So with the Apple Watch 3 with the LTE chip, with a lot of these functions, you could just leave your phone in the golf cart or leave it at home, whatever you want. So that's kind of cool. So that's what we're kind of expecting in the Apple Watch 3. The other thing they'll be announcing, supposedly, is a new version, the 5th generation of the Apple TV. And it should have some pretty exciting features in it. I haven't seen any rumors about it, but it's been a couple of years since it was refreshed. So there should be some significant changes to it. And then, of course, there's all the operating system updates for all the various devices. You've got iOS 11 for your iPhones and your iPads. Your Mac OS High Sierra will be announced. Your Watch OS 4 and TV OS version 11. And one of the reasons why the iPhone announcement is so significant this time is because it's right after the 10-year anniversary of the release of the iPhone. And so they're making a really big deal out of that. The media event, like I said, will be held on September 12th, and it's being held in the new Steve Jobs Theater on the brand new Apple campus. So a big deal for Apple. Other things in tech news. Amazon, as we all know, Amazon has purchased Whole Foods, and last Monday of this week, they lowered prices on, close the door please, thanks. Sorry about that. They lowered prices on about 40% on most of their items. And rumor has it that they will be offering special deals for Amazon Prime members. So maybe deeper discounts if you're a Prime member, which is really kind of cool. Google and Walmart, to kind of combat what's going on with Amazon and their now takeover of the brick and mortar side of the grocery business, Google and Walmart are teaming up to offer Walmart products on the Google online shopping portal. I think it's called Google Express. I've never been in there because I'm an avid Amazon shopper. So anyway, Google and Walmart teaming up. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of price wars these two different companies have. And then finally on the tech announcement side, the Nest is the company that makes the smart thermostats, and they make the smoke detectors. I have one of their smart thermostats, but I haven't yet invested in the smoke detectors. But they have announced that they are having a special event on September 20th to make a huge announcement. Don't know what it will be. There's speculation that it has to do with TV. So not sure what they are doing there, but I'll be tuning in on September 20th to find out what it is they'll be announcing, and I will let you all know. So those are tech announcements. Now I want to go into a pretty major announcement of my own. As you all know, if you've been watching my show, or you're one of my clients, or you follow my website, you know that about 15 months ago, I introduced my Diva Care product. The very first product I introduced was just called Diva Care. And a year later, on June 1st of this year, I introduced different tiers of Diva Care. So I took my original product and made it Diva Care Pro. Then I introduced Diva Care Lite, and then I introduced Diva Care Free, and I have Diva Care Managed Antivirus. Well, I'm not to be stopped, and I have another product to put into the mix of the Diva Care line of products, and it's called Diva Care Backup. And basically, I kind of subscribe, and you've heard me say this, I subscribe to the 3-2-1 backup method, meaning 3 copies of your data on 2 different backup methods with at least 1 copy of that data being off-site. And so the first copy of your data is on your computer, and the second copy of your data could be on an attached USB backup device. It could be on a NAS drive that you have in your home or office. And the third copy of your data is off-site, typically an online backup service. So traditionally, me as a technician, I've been able to school my customers on that theory, and I've been able to help them set up their USB backup device, which would be their first backup device out of the 2 different methods, their first backup method, I should say. And I've been able to help them subscribe to an online backup service. And the most popular ones are Mozy and Carbonite. But then the client is kind of left on their own. And they're left to make sure that their backups are running. and they're left to make sure that the proper data is being backed up. We get it all set up, but if they add additional directories to the backup that's outside of the norm, they typically don't think to go back and incorporate that into the online backup service. So as a result of this, I've had, a lot of clients who have come back to me and said, Mary, my backup hasn't run in 3 months, and now my computer is acting up. And even though they get an alert if their backup hasn't run in so many days, most clients ignore that stuff. They don't know what to do with it, so they'll ignore it, or maybe they don't understand it. So they're kind of left to their own devices. So since I've seen so many computers crash where people have not had backups, I have kind of made it my mission that I need to provide some sort of managed service where my clients have this online backup system, but yet I can manage it through my Diva Care console and see which computers have not backed up in X amount of days, which computers might have alerts, and then I can act on that. And we could save the client a lot of time and grief and heartache over losing really important data. It's especially important if you run a business, own or run a business. You need to have your data backed up, and you need to be 100% certain that that data is being backed up, and you need to have somebody there to help you do that and help you monitor it. And even if you're on the residential side, you need to have that data backed up. I have seen so many computers crash on the residential side where, all sorts of new customers will call me, and they'll call me because their laptop crashed and they need to get their data back, and they've never backed up their computer. I had one just this week whose laptop crashed. It was an old Vista laptop. It was probably somewhere between 8 and 10 years old. They had never backed it up. He had backed up some important files to a thumb drive similar to this, and but all the other stuff wasn't backed up, and I could not recover the data off the hard drive. And now he's in the position where he has to send it off to a professional, almost clean room environment to get that data off. It could be extremely expensive to do that. So that is why I've decided to come up with my own backup service. So with the Diva Care backup, it's really kind of awesome because it's an online backup service, and it has a lot of features to it. There is a business module and there's a residential module, and it's going to be extremely affordable. It's going to be kind of in line with your Mosier Carbonite, but of course a little bit more expensive than that because it's being managed and human hands are actually making sure that your backup is taking place. But affordable, it's going to be extremely flexible, and it's all based on the amount of data you need to back up. You can have as many computers in the plan as you want, as many users. User is an email address. It's going to be compatible with both Windows and Mac computers. It is available for your file server if you have one in your business. And one of the features that is coming soon is a backup service for your Android or iOS device. So I'll tell you a little bit about kind of how it works and what the features are of it. There's a concept of hot storage versus cold storage. And hot storage gives you the ability to view, play or stream your data. So if you have a music library, you'll be able to stream that music library live from the backup device. You can have a little app on your smartphone and or a smart device and stream that music. You could stream videos. And also, if you ever need to restore data, that restoration is instantaneous. It may take a little while to do based on the amount of data, but it will start streaming back to your computer instantaneously. Then there's the concept of cold storage. And cold storage is basically, I'm taking my files, I just want them backed up online. I don't need to access those backed up files frequently. I don't need to be doing any streaming of videos or music, and I just want to know that I've got a copy of all my data on a server somewhere, secure, that's being backed up. Cold storage, if you need to do a restore, there's a little bit of lag time between the time you indicate that you want to have that data restored and when it actually comes flowing onto your computer. It's usually within 3 to 5 hours. And which I think is perfectly acceptable. If your computer has died and we get a brand new computer up and running for you, and we go in and we say, okay, we want to restore, you know, typically with Mosey or Carbonite, the restore might start pretty fast, but it could take several days to do the restore. So a restore start time between 3 and 5 hours is not that bad at all. And you're going to pay a lot less for cold storage than you're going to pay for hot storage. So it's a little bit more affordable. All of my backup plans that you will be able to choose from will have a combination of hot storage and cold storage. So you don't have to make a choice of, you can say maybe you want your videos and photos and maybe your documents to be in hot storage, but everything else you want in cold storage. You have total control over how that works. So the video streaming is either SD or HD. You have your choice on that. And like I said, you can have multiple users and computers in the account. And the cool thing is you can also link up your cloud accounts, such as your Box, your Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, and you can also hook up your Facebook or Instagram accounts. So what happens when we hook those up is, say, Facebook and Instagram, anytime you post something on any of those social media platforms, it will automatically grab that photo and back it up for you. So you've got a running backup of all the photos that you post or photos that you're tagged in, which is really kind of cool. So with that said, when will Diva Care Backup be released? I am looking at releasing that in September, which actually September is tomorrow, but it'll be a few weeks into September. It will be available for my Diva Care Pro and Diva Care Lite customers to begin with. And in October, I will release it to the general population. If you are a Diva Care Pro or Diva Care Lite customer, you will get a discount on the Diva Care Backup. It is just one of the perks of being a Diva Care customer. So I'm very appreciative of those people who subscribe to my services, so I like to make it worth the money that you spend on it. So with that said, okay, so I have a couple of topics that I want to dive into tonight. And I don't see, I've got my iPad sitting here next to me, and I don't see the live feed. So if anybody has any questions, I'm not seeing those, but Kelly will let me know if anybody does. I have two topics that I want to talk to you about tonight. One of them has to do with online banking. And I get this question a lot from my customers, you know, how do I stay safe while I'm engaging in online banking? And there are definitely certain things that you can do to keep yourself safe and keep your bank account safe. And a lot of it is common sense. The first thing you can do is when you're going to go to your bank website, it's best for you to open your browser and just manually type in the address. Unless you have it saved as a favorite, you can also click on your favorite that you've saved. But you usually don't want to, you know, maybe the bank has sent you an email with a link to their site. You don't want to click on any of those links. You want to make sure that you are going to the exact bank website. And you want to make sure that you eyeball that address bar in your browser and make sure it's the correct address and it doesn't have any weird characters in it. If it does have any strange characters, it's a surefire sign that you have been directed to a website that's not your legitimate bank website. So type in your own bank website address. Never, ever, ever do online banking from a public computer. Public computers are targeted by hackers, and you never know what's on that computer. If I take my laptop to Starbucks to do a little bit of work, which I've been known to do from time to time, and I connect to their free Wi-Fi, I never do my online banking. You don't know who else is in Starbucks that is connected to the free Wi-Fi and is sniffing that traffic going on the Wi-Fi connection. You never know. So libraries, anywhere where you can get access to free Wi-Fi. Hotels, when I travel, I never do my online banking. It's just not safe. It's only safe if you're doing it from your own connection. So that's my tip number 2 for online banking. You want to make sure that you use a really strong password for your bank websites, and you use what's called two-factor authentication, and all banks do this these days. And you want to make sure that your password is strong. And the philosophy on passwords is starting to change. It used to be that they said, use a word with uppercase and lowercase and have some numbers in there and some special characters. But the school of thought now is, and I read something about this on the internet a few weeks ago, and I can't remember where I read it, but the school of thought is that you're much safer if you come up with a phrase that you can remember instead of doing a short, complex password. I'm sure more information will come out and guidelines will come out about that. We will see as time marches on. But so use a strong password and two-factor authentication. So I know we've talked about this before, where when you log into your banking website, they will then send a code to your smart device, or they will send you an email with a code. And before you can actually log into your bank's website, you have to type that code in a field. And that keeps everybody out of your bank account. I've got that set up, and my assistant, whenever she needs to go into my bank account, she needs to text me and say, okay, you're going to get a code in a minute. Can you forward that code to me? And it's just my way of keeping my bank account safe. And I highly, highly recommend that. It is, yeah, it's annoying that we have to do that. It puts a little bit more time into you logging into your bank account, but it keeps you safe. So that's item number 3. And of course, that password that you've got for your bank account, never write it down anywhere. That is something you want to keep in your head, and it's something you want to remember. So don't write it down. Don't put it on a Post-it note on your monitor. Don't put it in your little black book of all your passwords. That's something you want to remember. And it should not be the same password that you use on any other website. The other thing you want to check, item number 4, is usually when you're in your bank website, there is a graphic of a small little padlock in the browser. It might be in the bottom right-hand corner of the website. It might be up in the address bar next to the URL. But you want to make sure that you've got that secure connection and you see that padlock. And all bank websites will have an HTTPS indicator before the actual address, because most websites HTTP. Bank websites now have the HTTPS. In fact, it's a good practice for all websites to begin with HTTPS. That means it's secure. They've got a secure certificate on their website. I have one on mine. And it's just a good practice. So make sure it's got the HTTPS and it's got the padlock. So my next topic. I got this question. I get this question almost every week, and so I answer it a lot, and people just don't know. But the question is, should I upgrade my computer or should I buy a new computer? It's not an easy answer. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Usually the first question I'll ask when somebody says, hey, should I upgrade or buy a new computer? I usually say, okay, let's talk about your current computer. My first question is, how old is your computer? If your computer is more than, I'd say, 5 years old, it's time to buy a new computer. Even if it's for home use, it's just time to buy a new computer. You don't want your technology to get so old that you are now behind in your software, which means you're behind in your security, and which means your computer and your data is more vulnerable to hackers and viruses. So just start by taking stock of what you got. How old is the computer? What operating system do you have? And there's a lot of people out there who don't know how to answer that. They don't know what operating system they have. So we kind of have to investigate a little bit, and I walk them through going in to find out what version they have. And if somebody comes back to me and says, I've got Windows Vista, definitely buy a new computer. You cannot upgrade that computer. And then we take a look at, how much memory do you have? What's your hard drive size? So if somebody comes back and says, oh, my computer is, 2 or 3 years old, but it's running kind of slow, first thing we'll do is we'll do a cleanup and make sure that the software itself is squared away. And then we'll take a look at, okay, how much memory do you have in the computer? Can we upgrade the memory? That's one of the easiest and most cost-effective upgrades you can do. Most laptops these days, in the past 3 to 5 years, they usually sell them with about 4 gigs of RAM, which really isn't enough. I like to tell people you want at least 8 gigs of RAM. And in all my laptops that I've got here in the office, I've got 16 gigs of RAM. And if I start using a laptop that has less, I'll go ahead and upgrade it. You can do a memory upgrade for, it could be anywhere between $30 and $75. I mean, it's really, really cheap. Super simple to install the memory. At least it is for me. I know it is for me. It's not so easy for a lot of folks out there. But it's basically unscrewing the bottom panel of the computer, popping the old chips out and plugging the new chips in. I remember the first time I did that, I was a little nervous. It was like, am I going to break something? But really, it is easy and just takes a few minutes. So if it's a gaming computer, video card upgrades, those you can definitely do. Definitely do. The other thing you can upgrade on your computer to give you speed is your hard drive. So if you are looking at a computer, maybe it's 2 or 3 years old, it's got a standard SATA hard drive in it, SATA. Those have a particular speed to them, and they have on the inside, it's almost like a record player where it's got a platter that spins, and there's a little needle on it that jumps back and forth all over this platter, trying to find all the bits of data and software that you're trying to use. It's mechanical, and they can tend to run a little bit slow. So if that's the case, where you've upgraded your RAM as far as you can go, and your computer is still well within the age of being upgradable, I usually tell people, let's switch from a regular SATA drive to a solid state drive. A solid state drive is completely digital, and it has no moving parts, and it's super, super fast. It is one of the best upgrades you can do to your computer. So typically, if you bought a new SSD drive, we would image your old drive onto the new drive and pop it into the computer, boot up, and we're good to go. And it could take boot times on your computer from a couple of minutes down to 10 or 15 seconds. And everything is just super, super fast. Those are really becoming a lot more affordable these days. It used to be that SSD drives came in very small sizes. My first SSD drive was a 60 gig drive, and I used that in my computer, and then I had a secondary SATA drive for all my data. So the operating system went on the SSD drive and the data went on the SATA. Well, now you can get like a 500 gig SSD drive for $130, $140. So they're really becoming affordable. And terabyte drives, probably about $250 for a terabyte solid state drive. Really, really affordable. So where you don't want to contemplate any upgrades is on the CPU or the motherboard. If you're contemplating upgrading any one of those items, it's best to buy a new computer. It's just a lot cheaper and a lot easier to just go ahead and buy new technology. So that's what I would recommend there. So I'm trying to think of any other kind of upgrade things that you can do with your computer. I think I've covered all of them there. So with that said, okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about News 72 Media and an event that they are going to be doing in September. And that event is called, and I've got their site kind of pulled up on my secondary monitor here. So September 21st is the International Day of Peace. And News 72 Media is going to be doing an event called the Portal of Peace. And so I'll read the description here right from their website, because I want to make sure I get all this juicy information in. 2017 Portal of Peace, September 21st. On September 21st, the International Day of Peace, News 72 Media will be transmitting a 24-hour live streaming event focused on bringing universal awareness to peace, love, compassion, and acceptance for all living things. I think this is something that is greatly needed right now, and I'm very excited about this event, and I'll be participating. They'll be doing this in partnership with the Ring of Peace, and it says here this Ringlet of Peace will be a virtual healing trek around the world. So picture this, it's a 24-hour event with all sorts of shamans, teachers, healers, visionaries, musicians, authors, and speakers. All be sharing their global messages of peace and expanding the energy surrounding the intention with focused awareness in support of the greater collective. It's kind of an awesome idea. So how can you participate? Well, there's several different ways you can participate. You can become a sacred space holder for peace, and basically a sacred space holder is someone who participates and has a time slot during this 24-hour portal of peace where they get to speak about their message of peace. And I will have a time slot, so I'm going to be a sacred space holder for peace. I'm very excited about that. You can just register to view the event, and it's free. There's absolutely no cost to you. By registering the event, it's going to be broadcast out through the Zoom platform. So you can live stream the event on your computer, and you can watch the entire 24 hours. You can check in from time to time and see what's going on. But it's a great way to kind of raise the vibrational level of the planet and all of us on the planet. Because this is a free event, you also have the chance to make a donation on their website. There is a place where you can donate a dollar amount to the cause, and you can also become a sponsor. If you want your company to sponsor the event and have your logo on the site, you can also do that. And I'm one of the sponsors. I'm pretty excited about that. So the Portal of Peace, September 21st, the broadcast begins at 12 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Pretty exciting. And which is now 20 days, 4 hours, and 34 minutes from now. Pretty exciting. So news72media.com, if you go to their website, you can see all the details if you're interested in either being a sacred space holder, registering for the event, making a donation, or becoming a sponsor. So, I think that may be about all that I had to tell you tonight. So I will be back in 2 weeks' time. And let's see, 2 weeks' time will be, let me just pull it up on my calendar here because I want to make sure of the dates. In 2 weeks, it will be the 14th. Oh, so awesome. So on the 14th, when we are back here live, I will be able to fill you in on the Apple event. Of course, it will be all over the media, but I'll fill you in on the details and let you know what's going on with all the new products over at Apple. And so our September broadcasts will be on the 14th and on the 28th. So that's pretty cool. So the 14th and the 28th, 7 p.m. live on Facebook. And if any of you want to participate, if you have any questions, or maybe you want to come on live with me and ask questions, that's perfectly okay. It's acceptable. It's encouraged. Or if you just want to email me your questions and have me cover them in one of the live broadcasts, I'm happy to do that as well. So with that said, I will say thank you very much for listening in. Next show on the 14th, Apple stuff, and we will have more Diva Care backup information. I'll have a whole lot more in terms of details for you. So thank you to New 72 Media for allowing me to have this platform. Thank you to Kelly Lair, who is producing everything behind the scenes and is a technological wizard. And I thank them both very much. So you all have a great evening, and I will see you again in 2 weeks' time. Good night.